Earnestly Speaking Podcast here. How you guys doing? This is going to be a fun show, actually. A very fun show. And I'll explain to you in just a second. First off, we're going to start the podcast, today's show, with the Student Game Report. We have another one of these a couple weeks now. It's been a weird couple weeks, actually, here on my end. Being sick, and then whatnot. There's other things going on. Because typically, Kyle and I, we during the NFL year, obviously, we meet up every week. We talk every week. And we review the week and all that, and the narratives. And then off season, we started doing, like, last year was kind of the start of that. We've done, like, every 2 or 3 weeks, we'll check in. Because the Student Report has now blossomed into now more than just the, football talk, but we talk about movies and other things of interest and stuff. But, we haven't talked in a couple weeks, so we decided to, do a quick impromptu Student Game Report, talk about the AAF and the suspension of the league and possibly folding and all that. As you guys know, I addressed that on the last podcast, on the last episode, my thoughts on AAF and whatnot. We're going to get to Kyle's thoughts on this, because Kyle, if anything, is even closer to the situation, because he actually covers, he's actually a beat writer for the Orlando Apollos, the team that, the best team in the AAF, I mean, they didn't win a title or anything, because I'm probably not going to get a championship game out of this, as there's a league in the fold. But he's a beat writer for, he covers the team. So we'll get his thoughts on that, and a couple of news and notes I wanted to talk to him about that we missed throughout the last couple of weeks. Gronk's retirement, the Russell Wilson stuff, and all that. I want to get to that. But the reason why today's episode is special is this. Today is going to be the first ever mailbag on the show. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I originally wanted to do it in written form, but I decided to make it on a podcast, and I want to actually make this a normal thing moving forward. I would love to make this a normal, thing we do here on the show. And to me, obviously the mailbag I wanted to do on the show, I wanted it to be about anything. Obviously sports is the first thing we go to, but I wanted to talk about anything. Game of Thrones is legit. Wrestling, although I would probably tell you old school wrestling is probably where I'm going to find more. You get more answers. You want to talk about politics? I don't care. You can do all that you want. TV, movies, music, all that. Anything. Personal questions that I may or may not answer. We'll see. But I want to do this episode, and I want to see if we can do this at least monthly or every few weeks. I don't know. I don't know what kind of vibe we'll get out of that. This is going to be volume 1 of the mailbag, so hopefully we'll see if this could something that'll stick moving forward. So I've asked folks on Twitter, on Facebook. This actually started on. Okay, so this idea came really because some of you guys may actually know this. There's an app I've had for a number of years, but I've only utilized it much. I've only utilized it more in the last couple months, and last couple weeks actually. So an app called Quora, and Quora, you create a profile, and it's basically a Q&A thing. It's basically a Q&A app. People ask you questions based on your interests. And I've started getting a lot of requests from random people asking asking my thoughts or an answer on a question they've asked me. This episode's going to probably have a bunch of basketball questions, which is fine because we're getting to the NBA playoffs anyway, so it makes a lot of sense. But I got a lot of questions asked, random questions from people I don't know on the app, and then people started to follow me and whatnot on there. So the idea came actually about a week ago. Like, this is kind of cool. I mean, I can obviously answer the questions on here, which I still do obviously, but I started thinking, I was like, maybe I can bring these questions onto the podcast, because some of the questions that people are asking on the app are actually questions that I don't get asked enough randomly on the streets, with friends, even on the show, people who ask the question on the show, whether it was the guests or whatever. So I thought, well, this actually might be a podcast idea, actually. Do episodes of the mailbag, based on the mailbag. And I obviously people do it, other personalities do it themselves and whatnot, and I'm not trying to be like that necessarily, but it was a cool idea. I didn't think I would actually embrace that, because I've never really been a humongous fan of doing that, because I didn't really feel the need to. But it kind of bore out of that. So on top of that, I've asked people on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram to send me some questions, and I'll answer a question or get a little shout out on the podcast. It's basically a way to interact with the listeners and people around Earnestly Speaking Podcast and Earnestly Speaking Media, all that. So we're going to do that on the show today. So we're going to start the show today with Kyle for about 20 minutes talking about the topic that is discussed earlier on the top of the show, and then we'll get to the mailbag after that, and that'll be it. So that's me and Kyle Nash through the game. What's going on, Kyle?
What is good, Ernest Julius Christian, coming right out the gate with the silliness.
You've had a busy day today, but you sound very energetic, even for recording this late.
I listen, do not let my duck on a pond performance fool you. I am actually tired as hell. I was at the Sun and Fun Air Show today with the Captain Company in the morning show I've become involved with via oldschool101.com. And of course, I was recording an episode of Default Assault as well as required viewing with Hilarity by Default with our dude Demosthenes Euclid, as well as our friend Tokyo Jameson. And I'll just mention dinner time because I had some editing work I probably needed to do on some of the audio for our most recent episode, and I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. It's already midnight right now, and I'm not even trying to do that. I'm playing hurt anyway with my throat being sick, but what I can tell you is, despite playing hurt, me and TJ spoke with Maker Bayfield, a.k.a. L.A. Broadus.
Maker Bayfield.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah,
him being a Browns fan like he was, I said that jokingly, and he leaned into that embrace and hugged it thoroughly.
Oh, he hugged it, huh? Was he talking, waxing poetic about the Browns winning the AFC North probably, and maybe challenging the Patriots and the Chiefs to the AFC crown altogether?
No, nothing that delusional as a lot of Browns fans are doing, but there was definitely much more wisdom than that spread upon for the listeners of Dinner Time to understand. And rest assured, on iTunes, you're going to get that good time, and it's going to be a wonderful thing for you.
Well, I've been on Dinner Time for it. It's always a good time on Dinner Time. So hopefully come back on the show soon. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? Let's make that happen. I like it too.
Let's do it. Okay. It's going to be a short student of the game report. Very short. Three topics I want to talk about real quick. Because obviously we'll do another report down the road in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
First things first. Because this story definitely impacts you directly. The AAF suspending operations a couple days ago. Possibly folding. That's what everybody seems to believe is going to happen in the coming days or weeks, whatever. Now I say this because you cover the Orlando Apollos as a beat writer. What do you know as the reasons why this thing has not worked out? Despite week one, the ratings were really, really good. They outdrew the NBA Game of the Week on ABC. Then we heard the rumors in week two about having a bit of a cast problem that you and I even discussed on this podcast, and admittedly, you and I brushed it off as something that they'll figure it out. They got some new money infused. That should be okay. Now we're 7 weeks later, and this league is about to no longer exist.
Right, and aside with a lot of that, listen, I believe I forget his first name, but Dundon. Yeah, he's the Carolina Hurricanes owner that jumped in. And what needs to be remembered is, along with him putting in that injection of cash that you mentioned, I believe it was 270 million, something like that.
Yeah.
He was also given a healthy amount of power. And frankly, the push you may have heard later in the life of the AAF for them to truly attack the concept of being an NFL minor league, specifically, not just a place where guys could get film per se, but to actually, on an official level, involve themselves with the NFL, wasn't something you heard about from the beginning. And really, if you pay any attention to Mike Bianchi, who's in touch a lot with Steve Spurrier, he was talking on the radio today locally here in Orlando about a conversation he had with Spurrier, where Spurrier alleged that the direction of the AAF to involve the NFLPA so directly was not an original strategy, and I think what's being speculated is that Dundon wanted that direction because it was a faster way to get to solvency, and he didn't get it. And he made the comment about the fact that the NFLPA, if they're not on board, he's going to fold the league. A lot of people speculated that was posturing, that they weren't buying, and at day's end, his bluff was called, he felt, and the plug is pulled, which, to be honest, I think if Ebersol and Bill Polian were both still calling the shots, that the league would still be running. You still had the great TV ratings going on all over the place. The TV ratings were strong, and while the attendance wasn't great at every single locale, the TV is really what was carrying it, and I thought made it good. However, come to find out, over here in Orlando, at least, I can't speak for other outlets, over in Orlando, the Apollos had yet to pay the radio station for their radio calls. And they also owed, according to Mike Bianchi on his radio show, they also owed the Sentinel about $45 in media work that had been done as well. They had not made public the fiscal issues per se, but there's really a lot of fingers being pointed, a lot of speculation. I've even heard a conspiracy theory that Vince McMahon basically sent in Dundon as kind of a mole to trash the thing from within because he wanted the technology that the AAF was using with their gaming app. And I'm like, let's not be ridiculous. You all realize that he still took a $70 million loss. I don't think he and McMahon are that tight, but
right.
So yeah, but a lot of unanswered questions at this point. And while the responsible journalist is careful to point out that technically speaking, they're not folded yet, they're done. Let's not dance around the bush.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you the next question. What are the odds? Are there any percentage chance that this can actually continue going forward?
95% they're out.
Wow.
But they still have retained a small team to look for an investor, but I have no idea how they would hope to catch a fish at this point.
Right. Now, I saw reports also too that it's been so bad cash wise that players had to find their own way home, pay for their own tickets. Is that true?
I've seen that story too. That players were told to find their own way home, especially in the case of the Florida players who were practicing in Georgia.
Right.
When the news of this went down. So there's a nice howdy do. I believe that's accurate. I read an account on Yahoo Sports about Chris Martin, former UCF player, who was playing for the Apollos on right tackle opposite another UCF player, Aaron Evans. He was to start his first game at right tackle against San Diego, and then got the news that he will not be playing ever in his first start in the league, which is unfortunate.
Right.
And listen, this is not a good situation for anybody. And to be honest, the AAF's fans are vocally unhappy about it. It's pretty nuts out there. And what I would say is this is just yet another example in Orlando where an expansion team has done well, but the league fails to live on. You've had it with the Predators. They've, of course, the AFL has bounced them back, in various iterations, but there has been times where the Predators have ceased operation for a bit. The Solar Bears hockey team, the IHL went defunct after they won a championship. The XFL and the Rage. The Rage was one of the more successful venues for the year they operated, and the same is true of the Apollos. So Orlando has proven they could sustain a team if they can get a league that can stay solvent as a central entity.
Do you think the problem is that, because on my last podcast I said this, I think the main issue here really is something very simple, is that training, even hardcore football fans like myself, who loves the game of football in its purest form, regardless if it's the NFL or the World Football League, whatever it may be, that the behavior of getting used to the idea of football being played in the months of February, March, and April, do you think that's still an issue?
No, and if anything disproves that, I mean, listen, if the training was the problem, EJ, there's no way the TV ratings would have been that good. Either that or the NBA fans really suck at watching their games on TV because their training obviously does not exist, right? Or they're not trained to watch anything other than friggin' LeBron and the Warriors, right? But no, I don't think it was problematic at all. And listen, the one thing I think they did damn strong was to make bloody well sure that they kicked off and rode the wave of the Super Bowl and helped people depressed all over the country that Thomas Edward Beaver Brady won another Super Bowl. I'm joking. But to help people get over their depression, not so much of the Patriots winning it, just because, listen, that joke's always funny. I don't care.
You damn right it is.
But the depression of having another season end, and say what you will about who won or any of that, the 2018 season was a fine season to behold. And I think you're going to get a similar amount of disappointment at the end of Game of Thrones that you did in the 2018 football season for the NFL. But we won't have the cure for Game of Thrones like we did for in the AAF for the NFL season ending. That's what I would say.
Right. Now, the XFL, you mentioned that a little while ago.
Yeah.
They're going to start in 2020.
They are.
One of the things I've been seeing on social media that I've been engaging in terms of the conversation is the fact that, okay, well, obviously the AAF didn't work. Certainly XFL won't work. And my argument is this, is that, yes, it's possible that XFL might not work either. However, the advantage that the XFL has over the AAF is that they have already a business model. They already have the WE platform to use for free advertisement, whether it be pay-per-views, the WWE Network, even, them going, WWE's going to be on Fox, SmackDown will be on Fox, they have Raw. They have so many ways of marketing their product to their audience that they might have a better chance of surviving at least multiple years in comparison to AAF. What do you say to that?
I would take that and combine it with the way that Vince McMahon is selling it. I mean, when you heard his press conference, a couple months back, his angle was, we're going to take it back for the fans. We're going to bring in stuff that they want to see and take out things that they don't. So that in itself is kind of a leading statement that could mean virtually everything. But I think they're going to take out certain aspects. Like, a good example is you see some of these flags thrown just on willy-nilly. I think some of the rules are going to be shored up. Like, this trash about, challenging of pass interference may not for example, exist in the XFL. Where I still get a little leery about the XFL is if they were trying to tell me that they were going to be better prepared for a league that's claiming to be better prepared. I know very little about what they're preparing to actually do. Right. And there's in a lot of places where they're trying to rely on established markets to be then diversified into them as well. Tampa, Dallas, DC, etc. That are already have firm, entrenched, in some cases, multiple franchises that they're going to do battle with. And that's something the AAF didn't do, and I think they were smart to avoid that. I mean, sure, in some cases there were some cities that had other competition, air quotes, but honestly, do you care about the Magic? Not all that much. Do you care about the Jazz? Not as much as you used to. But whereas, Salt Lake and Orlando were both teams in the AAF, and then, Orlando was successful, Salt Lake wasn't as much, and that's the challenge. The business embrace, I think, is good. What's the answer to the question is, and we'll see if Vince McMahon can pull that off.
Well, so he definitely will gamble. I wouldn't bet against him. We'll say that much. All right. A couple things I'll let you go because it's a shortened report here. Russell Wilson reportedly is giving the Seahawks till April 15th to come to an agreement with a new contract, a new extension, all that. What are your thoughts on that? And does Russell Wilson deserve to be one of, if not the highest paid quarterback in the NFL?
Okay, so let's go first. Second question answered first. Should Russell Wilson be among the highest paid quarterbacks in the league? And listen, I will be the first to tell you that I was critical of him as overrated as a younger quarterback, but I have also been staunch in my stance that he has improved much since then. And at this juncture, with all the 40-plus quarterbacks that are dominating this league, I shouldn't say 40-plus, let's say damn near 40 year-old quarterbacks that dominate the league and those that have proven to be injury-prone in the later parts of their career, Russell Wilson is a guy you have to pay, and you have to pay now, especially when you've shown us that your stratagem involving protecting him is to be, is Swiss cheese and plastic wrap. Okay. Yeah, you need to pay this guy because you need to start a trust fund in case he gets creamed and destroyed and killed on the damn field for whatever kids he and Sierra have.
I saw a pretty bad take, or heard just a pretty bad take by Ben Mahler, who's a Fox Sports Radio host. And he said...
Ben Mahler, yes.
Yeah, he said that the Seahawks should not pay him max dollars because, quote, he was last year in pass attempts.
That's ridiculous.
Thank you.
You want to know why he was last in pass attempts? Because he was able to get them in a position to score, and they needed a running game that he was a big part of as well. I mean, that's actually probably the single most stupid take.
And I agree 100%. And not only that, obviously Pete Carroll wants to protect his quarterback. How do you do that? You run the damn football.
Well, it's one way to help, sure. You could also get some O-linemen that are worth the damn and not trade them away for has-been tight ends like Jimmy Graham.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
right. I'm talking some of that Max Unger schmack. Bring the heat.
That's right. Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. All right, last thing to go. Last thing. We haven't had a chance to talk much on the last couple of weeks on football.
Right.
But Gronk, retired about 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
We haven't had a chance to react to this at all. Obviously, he was not the same guy last year, although you can argue he was actually more effective, if you think about it, as a blocker, who was actually a great blocker, as a tight end, for the Patriots. Will this hurt the team in the short term?
Well, first of all, let me address Gronk as a blocker. I'm glad I can curse on your show, so I'm just going to get it out of the way because I'm too tired to give a damn otherwise. Yeah. Like, where the fuck were the rest of you people? And Gronk is a good blocker 2 or 3 fucking years ago when you and I were having the conversation about him being the MVP. It's long before it was relevant to talk about Tom Brady as being too old to play anymore. Where the fuck were you guys then? Now he retires, and I got to listen to you tell me about how great a blocker he is. Here's a big old bag of Dizzox, all right? Get on.
I can't disagree with you. I agree 100%. I'm with you, man.
Tell the rest of the damn lamestream media to go after cake because we ate all the chicken wings. Y'all motherfuckers are so late to this goddamn party.
So tired of doing their job. They're stealing money, definitely.
For free, yes. Much like Bill Simmons and you, but I digress.
Okay.
Listen, you walked right into that.
Okay. That's why I set it up.
Oh, okay. But my man, you knew it. Okay.
Yeah. We can't do a show at least one insult. Come on now.
And listen, homie, here's a fact I know. If you had your own show on HBO, NPR would not call you boring, sir. And I know that for a fact.
He was terrible on HBO. We know that. I won't even front on that one.
And you wouldn't be. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right.
And if you started to be, and I were your producer, I'd say, listen, get your wife on the show, get the ratings back up, and let's get the... Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
All I'm doing is teasing the pod that you hosted and sat back and did a great job of being chair umpire for when we were talking.
Which, by the way, that pod will be coming out in probably either this weekend or next week.
Hey, brace yourselves. You better listen. If you don't have your scuba certification, you better get it because we go deep.
My God. You guys are insane on Saturday. Go ahead. Anyway.
You didn't love every single goddamn minute.
Yes.
I know why you did that show is because you were wondering if I'd go after your wife just like I'd go after you. What do you think happened? Tell the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're damn right he did.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, he did. You did it.
Even Logan's pissed.
Birthday boy.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. But of course Gronk's in the conversation is one of the great ones. Let's not be stupid about this. Y'all want to tell me about Travis Kelce? That's cute. Don't get me wrong. He's good. But he also got outperformed by George Kittle. Who? Exactly.
Yeah.
Gronk, was always a guy who was smart enough to know when to have fun and when not to. And I could argue that makes him the smartest of the air quotes attitude players that are out there. I mean, sure, Keyshawn has a ring, but when did he get it? When he learned to shut his mouth about getting the damn ball, for example. You know, what more is there to be said?
Let me ask you this one. Oh, here's a question to ask you quick. And you, is he the greatest tight end of all time?
It's hard for me to say yes at this point because it's not like he's the first guy to do what he did. He's not. He's just the one you heard about most because he was the biggest personality. Who's the closest you have personality-wise? Shannon Sharp?
Shannon Sharp, right.
Okay. And Shannon Sharp, in this league, as they do it, pass happy right now where you could go over the middle without your life being on the line. You're trying to tell me that Shannon Sharp couldn't do it like Gronk? You're out of your fucking gourd. And by the way, I'm a Gronk guy. Frankly, you know what I want to see? We've been over this. I want to see J.J. Watt and Rob Gronkowski get in the damn cage. Battle that out.
I'll be honest with you, Gronk, to me, the reason why I have a hard time saying going against the fact that he's the greatest tight end of all time is that, to me, and you agreed with this a couple of years ago when we discussed it, he's probably one of the greatest cheat codes in the history of the game.
Correct. And listen, I think he and Brady are similar in this way. They're both very accomplished at what they do, but I'm not prepared to call either of them the GOAT. They are in an organization that has a guy that knows how to use them properly, and they're in a game whose state of being knows how to use them correctly. And you mentioned cheat codes. There's cheat codes put in every goddamn day in the form of regular rule changes to benefit offense. Guess where they play? You know, and also, by the way, in Gronk's particular case, in a time and place where the art of blocking is dying, he is flourishing and still catching the ball. Mm-hmm. Listen, let's be clear. If he were a more conventional tight end, his career may still be going because the moves he was able to make as a Ute, as a guy that size, much like J.J. Watt, defied physics. And listen, I'm glad he got to play for 10 years. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, say what you want about him being air quotes dirty or whatever. He's still one of the better ones in the game. That's a fact of the case, and there's nothing in dispute in my mind. Right. Is he the GOAT? I can't go that far.
Right. All right. Before you go, anything to promote?
Oh, anything to promote. You ready? Of course, we're talking about Dinner Time, Hilarity by Default, and Captain and Company in the morning. Earlier in the episode there, I won't make you sit through that, but you can find me on Twitter at the SODG. You can find me on Instagram as the same, the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my sports writings. Unfortunately, not the AAF anymore. On sportsmediapass.com, a product of Blue HQ Media. And check out my writings as well on the Dolphins Wire of USA Today.
All right, Kyle. We'll talk soon, obviously. And the draft's coming up soon.
Yes, it is, man. Yeah, what can I say? Thanks for a quick one in here tonight. Always good to get in on Earnestly Speaking, whether it be on Earnestly Speaking Radio, on Earnestly Speaking Podcast. I'm always ready to do the thing. Just be careful that your wife doesn't outperform you, son.
Oh, no.
But until next time, brother, class dismiss.
Okay, now we got that out of the way. Kyle Nash, doing a game report. Got out of the way. It's time for our first ever Earnestly Speaking Podcast mailbag, volume number 1. Like I said, I like to do this more often, at least once a month. Maybe we'll do it more often. We'll see. We'll figure out have this in the show format somehow. I thought about maybe having a mailbag for every episode, maybe, or maybe just having an episode on its own. This was almost going to be a standalone episode, but then I decided to put the interview with Kyle on here too because we need to talk about some stuff that was important. So might as well put together. But there's a couple things. There's a lot of directions you can go in with the mailbag. So I have about between 25 and 30 questions I'm going to attack here. So let's get started. Ferdinand asks, who is the NBA MVP this year? James Harden or Giannis Antetokounmpo? I gotta go Greek Freak. I go Giannis. Harden's been great this year. Obviously, the streak he had in the middle of the year was phenomenal, historical, all that. But there was a point where I was unsure. So, what was the tiebreaker I used? My tiebreaker I used was better record, team success. And Milwaukee has been the most successive, more consistent team this season. In fact, it is said because they have currently, I believe they have the best record in the league still right now. I'm going to check right now and verify that to make sure, but I believe that is the case. Yes, they still have the best record in the NBA, and actually they have it by quite a margin, at least a 5-game margin over, well, no, I'm sorry, Toronto has 2 games behind them, but the best record in the NBA is in Milwaukee. So Giannis, team success, the fact that he's able to adjust, have a new coach there, he's easily the best player in the Eastern Conference. You can argue in the league, I wouldn't go there just yet, but it's Giannis, definitely. All right. Tom asks, with the addition of Tobias Harris, does this make the Philadelphia 76ers a top team in the Eastern Conference? I will say this much about the Philadelphia 76ers. They have the best starting 5, in my opinion, in the Eastern Conference. But I do not trust that team one bit to get past Boston, to get past Toronto, to get past Milwaukee. Now, that's not to say they won't do it. I'm just saying I don't trust them to do it because there's a lot of volatile personalities there. Joel Embiid obviously is a bit of a personality. He's a great player, bit of a personality. Jimmy Butler, he's on and off once in a while. Ben Simmons and his shooting struggles, that could be a problem. Tobias Harris has been a good fit, but their starting 5 is in my opinion, the best in the Eastern Conference. But I just don't trust the team. I just don't trust. There's something about the Sixers I can't. There's a reason why I can't trust them or pick them to win the East. There's something there. I can't put my finger on it. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. All right. Anyway, Harry asks, does D'Angelo Russell deserve a max contract? Well, whether or not you think he deserves it or not, he's going to get something close to that because the NBA economics dictate that. There's only so many stars and a lot of money to give away. And D'Angelo Russell and what he's done for his Nets team this year, phenomenal. Obviously not the woods yet. There's still quite a few more games to go, about 4 more games for the Nets to go. There's a race at the bottom of the Eastern Conference for 3 spots, 6 through 8. The Nets are still not locked things up. They've struggled the last couple of weeks, which, to be fair, we expected because the schedule has gotten kind of tough. But he's going to get a max contract whether people like it or not because there's, again, not enough stars and so much money to be paid. So he will get a max contract whether he deserves it or not. Another question here I saw, anonymous. Why did Black Panther win several awards despite being a pretty average movie? Do you think it's propaganda? Now, by the way, the mailbag, by the way, is not just sports. I encourage people to send in questions from anywhere across the land. It can be even personal to some degree, and I'll see if I'll answer it. It can be music, sports, obviously, politics to some degree, pop culture, you name it. So, back to the question, the Black Panther question. I thought it was a good movie. Now, I will say this is not a very popular take here I'm going to have when it comes to Black Panther, but I'll say it anyway. I think people overrate the movie. I don't think it's overrated, but I think people do overrate it. It's definitely in the top 10 Marvel movies of the cinematic universe, the MCU. Actually, you'll hear about this. Actually, my wife and Kyle Nash actually did a podcast last weekend, which I'm going to drop hopefully the next week, where they debated Captain Marvel versus Black Panther, and there's a lot of back and forth about that. Black Panther is a very good movie. It's an excellent movie, actually. I do prefer. There are other Marvel movies I prefer over Black Panther. The propaganda thing, maybe because of cultural, maybe. But I think it stands on its own. I think this is what I said before too. And I might have said it on a podcast last year when I first saw the movie. Yes, there was a lot of culture attached to this movie, and a lot of people who, black folks like myself, who were excited to see the movie based on the culture and all that. But once you sit down and you sell yourself down into watching the movie, it's just another Marvel movie, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So I would say it's pretty better than average. Is it the best Marvel movie? My opinion, no. I still prefer Ragnarok. I still prefer Infinity War. I still prefer even one of the Captain America movies. So Winter Soldier. So I mean, that's just my opinion. Okay, so that's that. Another anonymous asks, did Adam Lambert ruin Queen? Well, no, because Queen is still Queen. If you guys know, post Freddie Mercury, Paul Rogers, who fronted the band for a couple of years, and then Adam Lambert, it's really two projects into one. If you notice, when they release albums with Paul Rogers, it's Paul Rogers plus Queen. It's not Queen and Paul Rogers happens to be in Queen. Same thing, Adam Lambert. It's Adam Lambert plus Queen. So he can't ruin Queen if he's technically not part of the band. It's actually a what you call it, a supergroup, if you will. It's two entities into one. That's why it's labeled Adam Lambert plus Queen or Paul Rogers plus Queen. So Queen is not ruined. Queen consists of two people. Queen consists of Brian May and Roger Taylor. Freddie Mercury's obviously dead. He died of AIDS back in 1991. John Deacon left the band in 1997. So Queen is just two guys. Paul Rogers is one entity who combined with Queen makes their group, Paul Rogers plus Queen, and the same Adam Lambert. Adam Lambert is himself plus Queen. So they're not ruined for that simple reason. Anyway, moving on to the questions. Nicholas asks, will any team trade for Brandon Ingram despite his recent injury? Not in the onset, I think, because of the scare. And I think teams want to see him play first, before his trade value goes back up. Obviously that injury is very scary, although reports are that he will be fine. I don't think he will be traded in the immediate. I think he would need to up his trade value first before he's able to get the Lakers are able to get full value for him. And that's kind of one of the things the Lakers are going to have a problem with now, because on top of everything else, not getting Anthony Davis during the year, this situation came up now. So his value is low. So we'll see what Lakers do over in the offseason. Another Laker question here. Jeffrey asks, will LeBron win a title for the Lakers within the next 2 years? I'm going to lean no, because there are too many teams better than the Lakers right now currently. Obviously, the roster they have now will be different next year and the next 2 years. So it's hard to tell, but if I had to put money on it, I would say no, because there are other teams right now who are still in better situations for the next 2-3 years. If Kevin Durant stays in Golden State for another year, maybe in 2 years, the Warriors are a better team than they are. I would say 5-6 teams in the East are better than the Lakers right now. And don't forget, LeBron's getting older. So, look, unless the Lakers get Anthony Davis and other pieces, I think LeBron's days of winning titles are over. I hate to say it. That's the case. Another question here. Was Freddie Mercury as crazy as the Bohemian Rhapsody movie portrayed him to be? Well, I thought the Bohemian Rhapsody movie actually portrayed him to be as not as crazy as his lifestyle suggested. And I'm a diehard Queen fan. You guys know this already. I'm a diehard Queen, Freddie Mercury fan especially. I thought the movie portrayed him in a better light, in a pretty decent light. I think they actually dumbed down and actually made it a lot cleaner than what it really was. If you know the stories of Freddie Mercury and his life prior, before he passed away, he was a rock star. He was a rock star of the highest order. Drugs, all that, sex, rock and roll. He lived that lifestyle. He never denied that. So, but I think the movie kind of made it. It gave it a more PG type of explanation to how his life was. So it wasn't. I would say his life was actually crazier than it was portrayed in the movie. Just my opinion. Another one here. Well, with the Browns recently acquiring Odell Beckham Jr., what does that mean? What does that mean for the Dog Pound? Well, this question is kind of weird because the Dog Pound actually is a fan base within the Browns. You probably mean what it means for the team. I would say that the Browns are on paper the favorites to win the AFC North. Are they as good as the Chiefs or the Patriots right now in the onset on paper? I would say no. I would dare say I put 3 or 4 teams ahead of the Browns right now on paper just because of experience and will. But again, this could change. You got to show me, prove it to me first. But I will say on paper the Browns should win to the AFC North with the Steelers transitioning out of the Le'Veon Bell / Antonio Brown era. The Bengals are in rebuild. The Ravens are kind of in transition too. Lamar Jackson, how good will he be next year? We don't know. We'll see. So I would say the Browns are right now the most stable team on paper in that division. That's all. What are some of the best back-to-back albums of all time? I'll say this much. I'll list some bands I love that had great runs. Okay, an artist. You guys know my favorite artist, Michael Jackson. I would say he had I would go so far as to say he had a great 3-4 album run between, and this is commercially speaking too, between Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, and Dangerous, in a row. Back to back wise, I say Metallica had a great one between Master of Puppets and Justice for All. I don't know if Queen actually had a great back to back run that was commercially, in my, because obviously this is a commercial question in my opinion. Let me think some of the bands that I love. System of a Down actually had a good one too. I would say their solo record, their self-titled record, and then Toxicity, which actually is kind of weird because I wasn't actually a big fan of their self-titled initially, but it's actually aged well on me as I gotten older. Toxicity is my favorite record of theirs, by the way, too. So, other bands I'm thinking about here that had some good runs. Let me see. Usher had a good run between 8701 and the Confessions record. That was a great run of back-to-back records. I thought Justin Timberlake's Justified and the Future Sex Love Sounds was a good run, 2-album run. But there's many more. I could actually do an entire podcast, an entire mailbag on this one alone, on this topic. I have to really think about it hard. I'm doing this off the cuff, by the way. So these are just artists that have come to my mind right now in the onset that had good 2-album runs in a row. Just saying. Whitney Houston had a good one too. The subtitle and then the album she did in 1987. If I know the title, I'll bring it up right now. I want to know what it is exactly. Let me see. Whitney Houston actually had a great 2-album run, I thought. Janet Jackson had a great 2-album run also too. Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation and the Janet record. You can argue 3 albums. I say Control, Rhythm Nation, and Janet was a great run. All right, so Whitney Houston had a great run between the Whitney album in 87 and before that, the Whitney Houston record. So she had an album called Whitney Houston, and then the second record was called Whitney. So that was a great run for Whitney Houston too as well. So there's something to think about. All right, next question here. Let me see what we got here. Natalie asks, now that the Lakers season is over, a lot of Lakers questions here. Now that the Lakers season is over, who will people make the scapegoat? Well, you're seeing it now. You're seeing it play out for the last couple of weeks. It's been names thrown out everywhere. You've seen LeBron getting blamed, rightfully so. You've seen Magic Johnson get blamed, rightfully so. Rob Pelinka, even Luke Walton, and even the young kids. I would say if you ask me a question, who should get most blame, obviously LeBron and Magic Johnson 1 and 2. I think Luke Walton got a little bit too much blame. He should get blamed for certain things, but I don't think everything fell on him here, in my opinion. I thought he was actually the scapegoat, and this is why he won't most likely survive the season as a coach, or make it next year, should I say. So I don't know. It's kind of a shame, but I would put more blame on LeBron in the front office, first and foremost. Okay. Another question here. The playoff race at the bottom of the Eastern Conference is intriguing. Who, in your opinion, gets the 6, 7, and 8 seeds in the East with less than a week to go? I would have said Miami. I'm a Heat fan, obviously, but I'm also honest. But the Josh Richardson injury, even though they're the 9 seed right now currently, and also looking in, this injury is going to hurt them. He's out 2 weeks with a groin issue. And by the way, there are 3 spots still open up for grabs because 6 through 9 is separated by literally 1 game. So, it's gonna be intriguing. I went to the schedules. Detroit schedule's fairly easy. If they get these next 2 games, it should be fine. Brooklyn's schedule is still kind of tough. They got to play Milwaukee. Still got to play. I believe they got to play Toronto and then Miami. I would say Detroit it's in. Oh my God. I would say Brooklyn gets in, and I hate to say this, man, but I think Orlando gets in. I think the injury to Richardson it's huge. It's funny because my brother gave me a call tonight before I recorded and asking me my opinion whether he should buy tickets for Dwayne Wade's last game because he wasn't sure if it would be his last game. And I said, based on the injury, I think you should lock in and just buy the tickets just in case you don't see him again. So I'm going to say Detroit gets the 6th seed. I'm going to say Brooklyn holds on the 7th seed. And I'm going to say Orlando, who's been playing much better basketball the last month or so, gets the 8th seed. Now, as a Heat fan, I obviously want the Heat to get it, but I'm also being honest here. That's all. All right. Another question here. Why doesn't the WWE add Undertaker to Hall of Fame? I mean, if you think he's not going to get in Hall of Fame, then you're not that smart. He's going to get in. I think the reason why they haven't added him to Hall of Fame is yet because he hasn't officially retired. That's why. He's going to get in. I mean, that's not even an issue. That's not even a conversation. In fact, I argue he'll be a headliner the year he gets in. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about this one. This is something I would put my life on. He's getting the Hall of Fame. All right. Steve asks, if LeBron James is the best player in the last 15 years, then who is second or third? Okay, so it's 15 years. That means you put it at 2004 to 2019. And obviously post Jordan, I've always said that the 3 best players in the league post Jordan was LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan. So you're looking at 2004 to start with. I would still say Kobe because Kobe's best years actually happened between 04 and 10, or even 11. He was great until 12 and 13. Tim Duncan was still really, really good. In 04, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I will still lean those 2 guys, although you can make an argument. You can make an argument for Kevin Durant and these last maybe 8 to 9 years. He's won 2 rings also too. I know a lot of people hold the fact that he went to Golden State to a team that won 73 games and won the title like the year before against him. But he's still a phenomenal player. I mean, he's already, in my opinion, he's already a top 20 player all time. But I would say, gun to my head, I still put it, Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant in order. And it's pretty close. So that's it. All right. What is the most saddest and emotional song you ever heard? Okay. It's just actually funny because, okay, as I said in the podcast a couple times this week on different episodes, my wife and I celebrated our 8-year wedding anniversary this year. And we went to our favorite Asian cuisine, Kabuki, actually, here in South Florida. Shout out to my friends at Kabuki. And we went there, and when we were entering the restaurant for lunch, Coldplay's Clocks came on. And I told my wife again, this melody is beautiful. It's actually very emotional, and in a lot of ways, it can make you cry. I'm not the biggest Coldplay fan on the planet. I like Coldplay. I love a lot of songs I do like from them, but I'm not a diehard Coldplay fan. But Clocks is, I told my wife too. I told Lauren that Clocks is a top 10 song for me all time because it's a beautiful melody. So I would say, just in a vacuum, Clocks by Coldplay is probably the most emotional song I've ever heard, and certainly the most emotional song I've heard in the last maybe 15, 20 years. So, I'm sure I can think about other ones, but right now, in the moment, I would say Clocks by Coldplay is the most emotional song I've ever heard. Who's a better wrestler, The Rock or Stone Cold? I would say, if you're looking in terms of actual wrestling, from a technical point of view, I would lean The Rock. Although Stone Cold, for a guy that is not as technical as, say, a Bret Hart, obviously, does hold his own. If you look at some of the old, Stone Cold's early matches, before the character Stone Cold was actually really came to the forefront in the late 90s. You can see some of the technical aspects of his wrestling ability. But I would still leave The Rock. I think The Rock, especially when he was Rocky Maivia early, he showed a lot of the techniques. He was also in the air. He was off the top rope and all that. I would say The Rock was probably a better wrestler than the Stone Cold. Doesn't necessarily mean who's a better personality or a better superstar. But I'm just saying, as a wrestler, in his purest form, I would say The Rock. Someone else asked me my favorite WrestleMania of all time. As obviously this weekend is WrestleMania 35. My personal favorite WrestleMania of all time is 5. And I actually did a podcast on that, on the Mega Powers Exploding, because of course that was the main event, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, for the title, the culmination of that storyline. Check a couple episodes from Tuesday this week. I did Ray Moraldi on Mega Powers 30-year anniversary. But the entire card was great too. The entire card was solid. Warrior versus Rick Rude, Demolition against the Powers of Pain. You had a couple good, you had a couple really good matches. The Rockers against the Twin Towers. A lot of good matches on that card actually. I would say 5 is my favorite one. There's some other ones I like a lot too. Obviously 3 is great. It was a good card. I would say WrestleMania 7 was a good card, but I would say 5 is my favorite one of all time. All right, another one. Somebody else asked me most overrated Netflix series. Now overrated doesn't mean bad, but it's overrated means something that gets more credit than it should. I would say, especially now that the show's ending, although I haven't watched the last season of this show, but I'm kind of off the bandwagon of this show now. I would say Orange is the New Black is actually a little overrated. I enjoyed the first couple of seasons of the show, but the last few seasons have gotten really weird. The show needs to end. It probably should have ended a year earlier. But I think Orange is the New Black is the most overrated Netflix series of all. Doesn't mean it's a bad show. This just means that it just gets more credit than it deserves. All right. Harry asks, what was the most disappointing super team in NBA history? Now, there are teams that maybe underwhelmed, that won titles were underwhelmed, won less titles than they probably should have. There are people who think the Heat, the big three with the Heat, with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, winning only two titles in 4 years was disappointing. There are people who think even the Celtics with Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce was a bit overrated, disappointing, winning one title. I would argue that team was actually older, and when they got together, at the very end of the prime. So the fact that they actually were able to carve out 5 years of that team was actually pretty incredible. I would say really on recent memory, because they were, when you consider the hype they got too, especially coming to that year, I would say the 2012, 2013 Lakers with Dwight Howard, who was still in his prime at the time. He was actually considered a top 3 player in the league at that time. Kobe was still really good, although at the end of his prime. Steve Nash was still pretty productive. But that team fell apart. Injuries, obviously. I'm not blaming the Lakers, but there were a lot of injuries. But I would say that team was the most disappointing because that team came a lot of hype. Remember, Sports Illustrated had a big thing, the big cover, and I remember everybody, all my friends, who Laker fans, saying we're going to beat the Heat. This team's going to beat the Heat this year, this and that, and they made the 8th seed and got swept out in the playoffs by the San Antonio Spurs. Just saying. So, all right. How did this is actually a weird question, 3 years later, but we'll answer it anyway. How did the Atlanta Falcons blow a 25-point lead to the Patriots in Super Bowl 51? Well, pretty simple. Me, in my opinion, is they did not stay on the gas. They played scared. They didn't execute plays they should have. If Julio Jones gets that third down pass, on third down, in that game, they win that game. One play, they convert. One third down, they convert. That game is over. It's that simple. They played scared. And some luck too. The Patriots got lucky, the element catch, obviously, but the Pats, Tom Brady is the boss. I hate to say it, he's a boss. Okay, next one. Let's speed up a little bit because I want to get out of here soon. What is the stupidest plot line on Game of Thrones? Now, there isn't a plot line on Game of Thrones I actually think is stupid necessarily. There are plot lines I believe that are maybe a little annoying, not stupid, but annoying, and maybe in hindsight I understand it now. But remember the plot line with Arya and the faceless name, whatever the guy was, the guy with the faces. That was a weird plot line. Now, obviously, in hindsight, it makes sense. But in the moment, I'm like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, seriously, what we doing here? I thought plot line went way too long. So it wasn't stupid, but it was definitely annoying. I'll say that. All right, next question here. Max asks, who has a brighter future in the years to come, Luka Doncic or Trae Young? This is actually a pretty good question because Trae Young, Luka Doncic had a really good year. Obviously, he's probably gonna win Rookie of the Year. But the second half of the year, I would say Trae Young has really picked it up. In fact, I've said before in this podcast a couple times, the Atlanta Hawks have been one of my low-key underrated league pass watches the second half of the year, especially. Trae Young has been fun to watch. I would say I would probably lean Luka Doncic still by right now because he is based on this year alone. He is the more consistent player. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to be this way going forward, but I'm still based on a 1 year sample size. I would say Luka is the better player and probably the better future because he's been more consistent based on 1 year. But Trae Young he's coming. He's good. Fun to watch. We'll see how the years to come how that works out. All right, another question here. Somebody asked me anonymously, what are the Beatles' 3 best songs? Not the biggest Beatles fan in the world. I like the Beatles. Again, in my opinion, a little overrated. My wife tries to kill me trying to say that. It's my opinion. Whatever. You have to like it. But I do like Coming Together, obviously. I do like 8 Days a Week. Actually, a really underrated song of theirs. I don't know. The third song, Love Me Do, I think is I Love You. That song is really good. I actually love their later work more than the edgier stuff at the tail end of their career than the early stuff. This is my opinion. All right. Next question here. Should the college football playoff expand to 8 teams? Would this alleviate leaving out a Power 5 conference team out? I've already been a proponent of the playoff, 8-team playoff. And yes, it would actually dissolve the problem. I always said you have the top 5 Power 5 conference team, Power 5 teams get in automatic bids if they win the conference, in a conference championship game, and then your 3 at-larges. I will say this much though, even though I am a proponent of the 8-team playoff, I am enjoying the 14 playoff. I am enjoying the drama of it all. It really makes these regular season games mean something because of it. That I will say. And you know what? In the end, too, whether it's 2 teams, 4 teams, 16 teams, people are gonna bitch anyway. So it doesn't matter. I don't think 8 teams is going to solve the problem necessarily because you still have people bitching, well, what, number 9? Number 9 should have gotten in. Whatever. But I do think 8-team playoff would be a happy medium. But I'm okay with the 14 right now. I'm enjoying it. Just saying. That's where I'm at on that topic. So, all right, a couple more questions here before we get out of here. What's that? 5 more questions, 6 more questions here. All right. Why would Kevin Durant want to leave the Warriors? Because he's not getting respect. Because he wants to share a narrative about his career. He's not getting the reception across the board that he thought he would get by going to Golden State and winning titles. Because you go to a team again that's won 73 games that year that beat you when you blew a 3-1 lead, and the same team that won a title the year before that. That's why he would probably want to leave the Warriors. That's just a thought there. And the rumors are probably, I saw some pieces yesterday on the internet that the Kevin Durant to the Knicks is apparently a quote unquote done deal. I'm not going to buy into that just yet, but it will not shock me. All right. Is James Harden better than LeBron James? Hell no. Never. Period. In discussion. Not even an argument. So, all right. Zachary asks, what NBA team has the best fan support of all time? Which team, in other words, which team has been more consistently loyal since its inception? To me, this is easy. It's the Lakers. It doesn't matter how bad they are. They've been to the playoffs 6 years in a row, and yet they still draw well on the road, better than any team in the league, and it's not even close. Whether it's Kobe or without Kobe, LeBron without LeBron, Magic, whatever it may be, they always draw well on the road, and that is the determination, in my opinion, of how big a team is how well they do on the road. The Lakers by far, it's not even close. Like people say the Celtics, and obviously the Bulls had that for a little while when they had Jordan, and the Warriors have that now, but consistently, no matter how good or bad this team is, the Lakers fan base by far shows out more than any team in the league. That's not even close. And it's been this way for at least 30 to 40 years. All right. If there was one NBA player I could play like, who would it be? Now, people use obvious questions, obvious answers and stuff. I'm gonna take this question in a direction. Which player do I appreciate their game based on their style? The two guys that come to mind, and I'm gonna shock you here. One is Ray Allen, because I love shooters, obviously. The other one is actually Joe Johnson, because again, I like his style. He's a very clean way to play the game. So Ray Allen and Joe Johnson would be the two guys I would actually would want to play in the NBA like. That I admire. All right. Nate asks, who is the best center of all time? This is easy. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a.k.a. Lou Alcindor. Or it should be Lou Alcindor, a.k.a. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think here's a better question here, in my opinion. The better question really should be, who is the most underrated center of all time? That one's easy for me. I would say Dave Robinson and Twice on Sunday. Just saying. All right. 3 more questions here. Well, actually 2 more questions here. Why is hockey, at best, the fourth most popular sport in the United States? Interest, of course. But I think what hurt hockey more than anything else was that strike in the mid-2000s. Because people got used to not having hockey. It's the same reason why baseball, since the mid-90s, has not mattered to a lot of people across the world on a national level. Those sports, in my opinion, are more regional. Baseball's big in New York and in California, but not every city cares. Whereas every city, to some degree, cares about the NFL or cares about the NBA because they're national sports, national brands. Same with hockey. And once people learned to do without hockey for a year, that's all it takes is 1 year to develop behavior. That hurt the league. And they've only started to get back into the fold. But the problem is now they're working with now is the fact that there are just too many things to watch between Netflix and their season runs perpendicular with the NBA and college basketball, and you still have the NFL to deal with, still in the winter months and whatnot. So they have a hard time cracking ground again. I like the NHL personally. I think it's a great league. I love hockey, but again, it's one of those sports where I follow it, but I don't follow it the same way I follow the NBA or the NFL or even baseball for that matter. So that's why I think that strike in the mid-2000s really hurt the NHL. All right, final question before I go. If the Warriors never formed, how many rings will LeBron actually have? All right, so the Warriors, well, I'm going to assume this question is actually involves Kevin Durant. With Kevin Durant, if the Warriors are formed with Kevin Durant, because the Warriors did win a ring over LeBron without Kevin Durant. I would say, so they met 4 years in a row. The Warriors drew first blood. Mind you, LeBron didn't have Kevin Love the entire series, didn't have Kyrie Irving for the majority of the series, other than one game, the first game. Year number 2, the Cavs came back from 3-1. We know how that went out, and then Kevin Durant came in the fold. I would say the Cavs might have won year 3 also. If Kevin Durant wasn't on the Warriors for 2017, the third matchup, I would have said LeBron and the Cavs would have won that year also. I think that Cavs team was actually better than the one that won the title before that. But the Warriors had Kevin Durant, who was hungry. And also the Warriors were pissed off they won the ring, win that title. That series actually is a lot closer than people give it credit for. Game to game. There was a blowout here and there, but that series in the middle was actually a lot closer than people give credit for. If Kevin Durant was on the 2017 Warriors, I would have said the Cavs might have won that series too. 2018, whatever. I can see that going to. So I would say LeBron would probably won one more ring. Probably one more ring. I don't know if it's two, but I'll say one, and that's that. All right, that's the mailbag. That's not that bad. I enjoy that. So again, we'll try to do this again probably in a couple of weeks, maybe in a month. I don't know. We'll work it out somehow. I enjoyed it. If you want a question on this podcast answered by me, again, anything's on the table. You guys drive the show. Sports, pop culture, music, politics, personal, parenting. I don't care. Ask it. You saw the questions here are diverse today. So that will do for today's podcast. Again, I'm on Twitter at EJChristian7, Earnestly Speaking Media at earnestspeaking.net. And we'll till the next podcast. We probably another one next day or two. We'll see. So then, love you guys. Take care and see ya.